That's great. All right. So I'm Deacon Tardy from St. Augustine's Parish, and I also work at the University of Notre Dame. Ever hear of it? Yeah. Okay. You probably maybe heard that they are a nice, great Catholic university, and maybe one day you all will get the chance to go there. Keep your grades up. Okay. And so I will talk to you a little bit about Blessed Solanus Casey. Casey Solanus. Anybody ever hear of him? Yeah. Okay. All right. So what do you know about him? Yes, sir.
He is blessed. He is almost a saint, but he is not a saint yet.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so let's start with what is a saint? Yes, ma'am.
Someone who was holy for most of their lives and that they were canonized by the Pope.
Very good. So someone who is holy and they're canonized, which means that they are in the canon of saints, which means that they have a feast day, and we get to ask them for, yes?
Also the saints pray to God.
Yes, they pray to God. And so we ask them to pray for God, to God for us. And so we have what we call prayers of intercession. We ask them to intercede for us with prayers of intercession. Very good. All right. And who gets to be a saint? Can anybody be a saint? Yes?
Yeah.
Can all of you be saints?
Yes.
Very good, because we're all called to be saints, right? You know what saint comes from, sanctus, which means holy. So we're all meant to be holy. We're all called to be holy. Do you know why? How do we know that? Yes, sir.
Because that we have houses.
Yes, we have houses. So that's called a blessing, okay? And that's something that comes from the Holy One, from God. Yes, sir.
And we're all in a Catholic school.
We're all in a Catholic school. So part of that means that many of you probably are baptized, or going to be baptized, or thinking about being baptized. Yes? Yes? Okay. Where they take and they dunk your head in the water. Actually, usually they just pour some water on you. All right, so you don't have to hold your breath or anything. And some of you, maybe it was when you were a baby. You don't even remember it, right? You were probably in a baptismal font, swimming like this, okay, holding your breath. But when we're baptized, by virtue of our baptism, we are called to be holy. We're called to be in the image of God, okay? Because God made us in God's image. And when we're part of the church, we are part of the body of Christ. And if the body of Christ is holy, guess what? We're supposed to be holy too, because we're part of that body. Yes, sir.
It's all about the holies.
Yes, it's all about the holies. I like that. That's the phrase of the day. It's all about the holies. Okay? So we are called to be holy. All right? So anybody can be a saint. Anybody can be a saint. And God is calling all of us to be saints. Because a saint gets to do what? They get to be in heaven. So we want to be in heaven, right? So we're called to be saints. Now, somebody mentioned that he is blessed, right? Okay. So what does that mean? What does blessed mean? How is that different than being a saint? Yes, sir.
He's almost a saint.
Almost a saint.
He's on the way to become a saint because he has had a miracle.
He has a miracle. Very good. So anybody know the steps to becoming a saint? Yes, sir.
You have to do 2 miracles to become a saint.
Yeah, so basically, the first thing is that these are folks who are no longer with us. So usually after someone has died, and then someone says, well, you know, this person has lived a holy life, and we think that this person might be a saint. So they open up the cause, and that person is then called a servant of God. Can you say servant of God?
Servant of God.
Very good. So servant of God is the first step. And they investigate the life, and they see that this person has lived a life of heroic virtue, and then they are called blessed. And then they have to have a miracle. They have a miracle which lets them, unless they're a martyr. If they're a martyr, then they go straight to it. And then they need to have one more miracle, and then they will be a saint. All right? So Solanus Casey is considered blessed, and it has been one miracle that they said that he has. Someone asked him to pray, and he did it. Anybody know what that miracle was? Yes.
So kids, one of them had a hurt leg, and then the two other ones, one on the other side. So he was laying on the bed, and one on the right on one side was putting his hands on his leg, and the other one was praying. And then Blessed and Solana's Casey came in, and then when he tapped the person that was praying on the head, and then his leg felt better.
All right, well, that may have been one of the things that he did. There was a woman who had a skin condition, and then she went and prayed at his grave, and then she actually went there to pray for somebody else, some other people, and then she decided that she was going to pray for herself. A voice inside of her said, "Why don't you pray for yourself?" Because she had a very serious skin condition, and then she was cured of it. So that was the miracle. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about who Solana's Casey was. Do you know what his birth name was? Now, when he was born in Oak Brook, Wisconsin. Anybody ever been to Wisconsin? Yes? Okay. I actually lived in Wisconsin. I lived in a place just outside of Milwaukee called Brown Deer, Wisconsin. So he was born in Wisconsin on a farm, one of 16 kids. All right? So almost like half this room. All right? Imagine a whole family like that. All right? That's a lot of people, right? So he worked on a farm, and then he realized that he was maybe being called to the priesthood. Do you know when that happened? When he went to First Communion, and then also one day he was at midnight mass, the mass right before Christmas, that late night mass. Maybe you haven't been there because it's really late at night. You have, okay? So he was thinking about it then, but you know, sometimes God's calling us when we're not really sure. So he went and did some other things. He worked on a streetcar, and he did different things. He actually even dated somebody, and then he proposed like he wanted to marry her. Then her family moved her out of town, so I guess they didn't like the idea. But then he started thinking, well, I think that I want to be a priest. And he saw some of the things happening, so he went to the abbey to try and become a priest. And the thing is that he wasn't the best student, okay? And this is important because sometimes people think, well, you have to be really smart to be a saint. You have to have really great grades, and sometimes you do. Everybody has different gifts, and some people school is easy, and some people school is not. For him, school was not easy. So he couldn't learn the German, and he couldn't learn the Latin, and he was really struggling. So they told him, well, we don't think that you're going to be able to be here with us. And so he had to leave. And so he went and he did like he always did. His family always grew up doing the rosary. So he would pray the rosary. Anybody ever pray the rosary? All right? So see, you're already on your way to being saints, okay? So he did the rosary, and he was praying at a church, and then a voice told him to go to Detroit. Go to Detroit. Anybody been to Detroit? Okay. So he went to Detroit, and he joined what's called the Capuchin Franciscans. And you might recognize them because they have this brown thing that they wear, and then they also have a little hood on the back of theirs, okay? And so he joined them, and they usually live a life where they kind of give up everything, and they live for God, and they're very poor, and they keep a very simple life, and that's what he did. And he still struggled with the classes, though. And so they said, well, we're going to allow you to be a priest, but you're going to be what's called a simplex priest, which means that you are not going to be able to preach publicly on any kind of big matters like doctrine, and you can't hear confession. So he said, okay, that's fine, as long as I can be a priest. And he was very humble. He said, a lot of times people say, well, if I can't preach and I can't do that, I'm not going to be a priest. He said, that's fine, as long as I can serve God. And he was thankful for that. He was thankful for that. And when he was assigned to be a porter, and basically he was the doorman. So when people would come to the door, he would open the door, they would knock, bum, 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 bum. They would knock, and he would open the door. And he did this with a lot of love and gratitude. Okay? He was very thankful for it. But something remarkable started to happen. People would come at all different hours of the day and night, and he would just listen to them. And whatever they were talking about, he would give them wisdom. And then sometimes he would heal them. They would say, I'm not doing well, there's something wrong. And he would pray with them, and they would be healed. And so there were miracles that were going on even when he was alive. And so this is why when he died, 20,000 people came to his funeral. That's a lot of people, right? 20,000 people. And so they knew there was something special about him. But he was just a very simple priest. He just answered the door, and he would make soup. He would make soup for people who were sick. And he also had this great love for the Eucharist. Now we were in the chapel, and then I brought out the Blessed Sacrament, the Eucharist, for adoration. Right? You all saw me do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Solanus Casey had such a devotion to the Eucharist. He would do it as often as he could. But he did something special also. He had another gift. He would play the violin. What we call the fiddle sometimes. Okay? Anybody play violin? Anybody? Oh, it's very good. Yeah, it's a hard instrument. It's a hard instrument. All right? But he would go into the tabernacle, and he would go into where the Eucharist was, and he would just start playing violin for God. Thank you for sharing this gift with me, God. He would play. Now, nobody else liked his playing. They said, you can't sing, you can't play that well. But God loved it, and he would do it all the time. So he loved the Eucharist, he loved the Rosary, and he loved God. Now, he was known for a few things. One of the things he was known for was what we call gratitude. Can you say gratitude? Gratitude. All right, gratitude means that he was thankful. He was very thankful. And it was called a virtue. We want to talk about the virtue of gratitude. So, do you know what a virtue is?
Yeah.
What's a virtue? Yes, ma'am.
It's like a thing you do, like being kind.
Yes.
And like, if it's a race, you could just say, like someone's running, like, yeah, you're doing it, go.
Yeah. So it's something that you do, and I would say I would call it a habit. Something like a habit. You know, like sometimes we have like a bad habit, okay, and that's called a vice, okay. Now a good habit is a virtue, and it means that you do it on a regular basis, you know. And so some people, the virtue that they have is the virtue of love. They love all the time. Maybe some of your teachers are like that, or maybe your parents are like that. All right, where they just always love. You always feel like when you're around your parents, do you feel like they love you? Do you feel like they love you like sometimes, or they love you all the time? Okay, so that's a habit. That's a virtue. So if you have the virtue of gratitude, that means that you are in a habit of being thankful. And Solanus Casey, Blessed Solanus Casey, he would say things like, thank God before it happens. Don't wait for the miracle. Thank God before it happens. And that was a lot like Jesus. When we go to Mass, and then the priest is doing the prayer that Jesus would do when he was doing the Last Supper. He took the bread, gave thanks, and blessed it. We're always giving thanks first, okay? Before God does the miracle, because we have faith. So this is one of the things that he was known for. So Casey, he's thankful. And he said that when you have gratitude, when you are being thankful, it is a sign of having a rational mind, of somebody who understands that there's something good here. There's something to be thankful of. So what are some things that you are thankful of, are thankful for? Yes, sir.
I'm thankful for the world.
Thankful
God
for
and
the world.
Jesus.
Okay.
And Christmas too.
And Christmas, okay. The world and Christmas.
For Halloween.
Thankful for Halloween. And Halloween is a very special day because it's actually All Hallows Eve, and the day before Hallows is for the day for All Hallows, which is the day of all holy people, saints, okay? So Halloween is actually the day before one of the very special feast days of the church, where we celebrate all the saints and all the holy people. What are you thankful for?
Thankful for the world peace.
For the world peace? All right, very good. Yes, what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for our universe and maybe even other universes.
Okay, well, our universe is pretty big, so if there's another one, that's pretty big as well. So we'll be thankful for this one because that's the one we're in, right? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I'm thankful for school and parents and teachers.
Oh, very good.
I'm thankful for my friends, family, and teachers.
Okay, very good. Yes, sir. Thankful for your family and your house. Oh, so good, so good. Yes.
I'm thankful to be under a roof every day.
Having under a roof every day. Very good. So, and one more. What are you thankful for?
For my entire family and my
Oh, your family and your turtle. Okay. What's your turtle's name? Got a name? Dribble? Dribble. Yeah, that's a good name for a turtle. Okay. All right. So we have things that we're thankful, right? We're thankful for these things, and and what you want to do if you want to be like Blessed Solanus Casey is when you're thankful for something or for someone, maybe because they've done something for you, or maybe because you just appreciate them, what should you do? Yeah.
Thank them.
Thank them, exactly. Get a high five for them. Give me a high five. All right. Tell them you're thankful for them. Show that virtue of gratitude. And when you are the type of person who goes around saying thank you to people, guess what? People like to be around you. They say, that person has a good heart. That person has a good spirit. Because you say thank you. So if you have a teacher that you like and they do good things for you, you say thank you. Thank you for being a teacher. Thank you for choosing to serve as a teacher. Or if you've got a priest in your church, in your parish, and you say, oh, thank you for being our priest. Thank you for serving Mass for us. And then maybe you've got somebody that's a good friend, and they listen to you, and they do things with you. Thanks for being my friend. That's gratitude. Okay? And then we have a very special day coming up next week. Anybody know what it is? Yes, ma'am.
Christmas.
Oh, I wish it was Christmas. Not quite yet.
Valentine's Day?
Back there. Blue shirt.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Very good. Long distance high five. Okay. Thanksgiving is coming up. And what is Thanksgiving about? Yes, sir.
Thanks. It's really just in the name.
It's in the name. It says, speaks for itself, right? Thanksgiving. You're giving thanks. For what? What are we giving thanks for?
Giving thanks to the Lord.
To the Lord. What are we giving thanks to the Lord for?
For our house, for our family, and for our life.
Right, all those things, right? We're giving thanks for everything that God does for us. We have food, we have all these things. And it was a very special Thanksgiving long time ago, hundreds of years ago in this country. And there were some people who came to this country and they didn't really know this country that well. They didn't know this country that well, and they weren't doing so well with the crops. And so they were about to starve. And then another group of people who are already here, called the Native Americans, they said, well, we know about how to grow crops here, and we can help you. So they all kind of worked together. They shared the gifts that they had, and at the end, they had a big meal, and they gave thanks. And that's where Thanksgiving came from. People from different cultures, from different parts of the world coming together as one, giving thanks to God for all the blessings. So we have Thanksgiving coming up, and you can think about this virtue of gratitude. To think about things you can be thankful for, and to give thanks for the food, and for the family, and for the school, and for your faith. And the last thing I want to tell you about Thanksgiving is this. We started off in the chapel, with the Eucharist. What does Eucharist mean? Yes, ma'am.
The body of Christ.
It is the body of Christ, yes. What else? Anybody know? Right here. The body and blood of Christ, yes.
It's all about Jesus and God.
Yes, it's all about Jesus and God. The Eucharist also means thanksgiving. Every time we come before the Eucharist is an opportunity to give thanks. And that's what Blessed Solanus Casey, Father Solanus Casey knew, is that when he would go before the Eucharist, it was an opportunity to give thanks in a very special way because Jesus is right there. God is right there. So every time we go before the Eucharist, every time we go to Mass, every time we're at Eucharistic adoration, we're giving thanks. It's an opportunity to give thanks. So thank you for having me be here. And I don't know if you have any other questions?
A couple minutes.
Got a couple more minutes? Okay.